Hey, it's an electric brew system that Home Depot sells for $300. It's Home Depot. It should be good, right?
Yeah, no, that thing's a piece of crap.
Let's raw dog it. Christmas is right around the corner and there's a lot of people trying to figure out what to buy. There's a lot of commercial breweries trying to find their pilot systems too. And every couple of years the game changes. So I'm making this video to discuss what system I'll be brewing on in the upcoming year. You gotta know what to buy. Nobody likes buyer's remorse. Nobody likes regrets. If you don't know by now, but I'm the king of regrets. Like the last time I was in San Diego and I thought it'd be a good idea to go to their one public nude beach. Here's what happens when you go to a nude beach. There's not going to be one girl there. Nobody's going to be under the age of 55. And it's going to get weird if you run into somebody you know, like your grandpa. So I'm making this video to help you learn from my mistakes. And people always giving me shit. They're like, CH, you don't make YouTube videos no more. You don't brew no more. And for those people out there, you know what? You're exactly right. And I need this video too. This video is for me. I need to hear this stuff. Just make it till the end of the video and I promise you, you have a perfect understanding how to start homebrewing in 2024. Now, the two biggest shifts in homebrewing from 10 years ago to now was the shift of going from propane to electric. And when I lived in San Diego, I could brew outside year round, but not on the East Coast. There's some days that are freezing and you need to brew indoors, so I have an electric system. And another shift was going from these big 3-tier systems to brew in a bag, or BIAB. I used to think having a giant 3-tier system would make better beer, but this is the worst system I've ever had. And this system will guarantee your wife divorcing you. It's gigantic, it's a nightmare to clean, and something always wasn't working, like a pump or a burner, and it's literally just the most expensive system you can go with. And I've talked to head brewers and brewery owners that used to use these 1 to 3 barrel 3-tier systems for their pilot batches, and even they complained about the headaches with these systems. And a lot of these commercial breweries now are switching to 5 and 10 gallon brew in a bag systems. And a lot of us home brewers would create our own 3-tier systems and cut the cost by using Home Depot coolers as mash tuns and as hot liquor tanks. Sure, it was cost effective, but you still have 3 vessels laying around and 3 times as much cleaning to do. So brewing a bag was kind of forced to forge ahead. 1 vessel and 1 grain basket or mesh grain bag. And I started doing brewing a bag a couple years ago with the help from the Brew Show. And it was cool, but it was definitely pretty janky with a propane burner and this bag that definitely sucked to get all your spent grain out of. But you got to keep in mind that every system's going to have problems from time to time, so don't freak out. I have had problems with almost every system I've ever had, even hassles with not getting propane burners to work or stay lit. I was always having problems with propane burners, especially with boilovers. So first and foremost, I'd say the 2 biggest factors, at least for me, are going brew in a bag on an electric system. But what is the biggest factor in all of this? The price. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm allergic to spending money. So I was always trying to DIY everything to save a buck. I'd take this grain basket from this electric system, but use it on a kettle that didn't really fit. Or I'd have a brew day where I'd combine electricity on this kettle to sparge, but I'd have this boil kettle on a propane tank with an oven rack. But I've learned it's much nicer just to have a system that's turnkey. So as far as systems go, there's 4 ways I look at homebrewing. The $100 and under barrage, the $500 and under barrage, the $1,000 and under barrage, and the barrage who has more money than Fort Knox and money ain't a thing. Let's talk about it. Now, if it's your first day of school and you know nothing about homebrewing, then you're probably just going to want to go with the cheapest route possible. And the kit with the most exposure is definitely going to be the Mr. Beer kit. But I hate this thing with all of my black heart. It's as gimmicky as the day is long. I don't know what this stuff is. Is this yeast or top ramen chicken seasoning or a Magnum condom? I think there's Mr. Beer kits with different beer styles, but something's telling me that they all taste the same. This might get you into homebrewing, but a much better option is to go the extract route from Northern Brewer, and I actually really love this kit. Extract brewing used to have a bad rap, but F that, and extract has gotten way better. This system is awesome, and it actually comes with real hops, yeast, and grain. If I'm brewing a hazy IPA or a Pilsner, it's 5 gallons all the way, but if I want to do something super niche and I just want to do a 1-gallon batch, it's Northern Brewer all the way. I was at a beer festival last week, and the 2 most popular beer styles were a peanut butter and jelly sour and a green pistachio ice cream stout. They hate the game, not the player. I'm actually going to try to brew the peanut butter and jelly sour, and maybe brewing a 5 or 10 gallon batch isn't the answer until you nail the recipe. So if you want to get into homebrewing and you want to keep it under $100, then I recommend the Northern Brewer kit. The next step up from there is making a DIY brew in a bag system with propane. Burner, kettle, propane tank, basket, or grain bag, and accessories are going to cost you around $300. But it is very DIY, and it's also kind of a West Coast thing. Sure, it works in San Diego and Florida, but people want to brew year-round, and propane's somewhat becoming a thing of the past. So for the consumers looking to spend $500 or less, there's some options. I brewed on the mash and boil once, and when I got to my boil temp, the LCD screen said 190, and it was my fault for not calibrating the system beforehand, but I just retired the system after that. A reading that's over 20 degrees off, that means I mashed in at like 120. Now, a much better option to go with is the Anvil Foundry. I recently picked up the newest version of the Anvil Foundry, and it's far superior than the Brewer's Edge mash and boil. The Anvil Foundry is a great entry-level homebrewing system that's both electric and brew in a bag. And as far as the Vevor system goes, I know I clowned on it at the beginning of this video, but I honestly have no clue. I can't name one homebrewer who has it, but for some reason I'm always getting ads that pop up for it. I know that Home Depot and Bed Bath Beyond sell it, or at least sold it at one time, but I know a ton of homebrewers and nobody knows anything about it. If anybody has used it, let us know in the comment section. Now for the barrages that are in the $1,000 game, I would imagine the Grainfather system is the most popular, but I've brewed on it a couple times and I broke my buddy's Grainfather's LCD screen. We just got a little wart on the screen and it shut down. I know that was a couple years ago, bros, but all good. Checks in the mail. The Grainfather is pretty much the exact same thing as the Anvil Foundry, but twice the price. So it's kind of tough for me to justify why you would spend another $500. And the Grainfather even has more proprietary parts. Like if the pump goes out, you're pretty much screwed. And good luck with that 1-800 customer service number. If the pump goes out on my Anvil, I can just go down to Home Depot and buy another pump. I'm not hating on the Grainfather. I'm just a barrage documenting my experience. But the best system I've ever used by far is the Clawhammer system, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, it's super mobile. There's some systems out there that suck to move around and even just to clean, but I can detach the heating element in my Clawhammer and just clean it in my sink. I can't do that with any other of my electric systems. And some bigger systems you need a buddy to help you brew, but I have no problem brewing by myself on this system. And Clawhammer has the best recirculation setup, no question. I used to be anti-pumps. I burned myself a couple times and I went back to gravity, but you definitely want to use a pump to Vorloff. You will definitely get the best sugar efficiency this way. And some recirculation methods are pretty janky on other systems, but definitely not on the Clawhammer system. Without question, you're going to rinse the most grain on this system. And you can also use it not only to rinse, but it's a great CIP, aka clean in place. Just run hot water and some OxyClean through the pump, so cleaning this thing is a breeze. And I finally started using a plate chiller, and this is a game changer for me. I'm never using a wort chiller or a counterflow chiller ever again. A big power move in homebrewing is rigging a garden hose under your sink and using that to chill. Doing it this way, you will chill your wort down in less than 10 minutes. And you don't have to put some clunky piece of copper in your wort anymore. And you don't need a big plate chiller. They sell the bigger ones out there, but they're dead weight. Just get the smallest one. But my favorite part of the Clawhammer system is that all the electric stuff isn't just inches away from boiling wort like on other systems. I might be a little bit biased since I broke a Grainfather, but it's kind of nice to have your electric stuff a few feet away from boiling liquids. This is Brian from Elementary Brewing. He's got his digital controller screwed into studs in his garage with his boil kettle on a table a couple feet away. Great form, Brian. And then there's a lot of little things why I like this system. I've never had a problem with the grain basket. Some grain baskets on other systems can't hold as much and you gotta do smaller batches of beer, or you gotta do bigger ABV beers but smaller quantities. And the quick disconnects are also a game changer. It's lovely to never have to deal with hose clamps and vinyl ever again. But lastly, my 3 or 4 batches of beer were all on the Clawhammer system and they all turned out tasting really damn good. We made a pineapple sour that was a little bit too sour. That was just because of the new Sour Vise yeast I used. I should have spent more money on fruit to balance it out, but that's my bad. Other than that, the beer on the system was the best homebrew I've ever brewed. So what is my problem with brewing?
I don't have any friends. I mean, I got a couple friends out here, but it was nothing like the San Diego days where we'd have people over every weekend and have all these shitty parties. No joke, that seemed like every Saturday and Sunday. A 5-gallon batch would never last more than a week, and sometimes we killed it in the same day. And that was awesome because it forced me to brew more. I remember the Kegel days when 5 gallons wasn't enough. Depressuring kegs and cutting open the tops to use as boil kettles. That day is long over. 10 gallons of beer by myself would last me a year out here. But I got a sour beer right now. I've got a couple gallons left of it from a couple months ago, and this stuff just sits. So my game plan for next year is to brew smaller batches on the claw hammer system. You can do 2.5 gallon batches all day on the system. And if I want to do something crazy like that peanut butter jelly sour or some salsa verde stout or something, I would just maybe do a 1 gallon batch and take the heating element out and then just try clamp an end cap to it and just put it on the stove. Smaller batches will force me to brew more. And as far as the systems go that are over $1,000, I just don't get it. Again, where's the value? I mean, I understand it if you're doing 10, 20, 30 gallon batches. I understand that. If you're scaling up, I get that. But if you're just doing 5 gallons on a 120 volt system, I don't know what you're getting more for the money. More tri-clamp fittings that are going to suck the clean, just more stuff that was over-engineered, or more shiny stainless steel stuff to feel like a pro brewer. I don't know, but if there's something I'm missing, let me know in the comment section. And if you want to check out the full specs of my system, click on the link in the description. And if you made it this far, you're a braj. You made me like 3 pennies.